Joan Wright. I'm Executive Director for Childcare Resources, and we're here today to share a lot with you. First off, we're going to talk about our latest Status of Childcare report. This is a report we produce every 3 years. It's not always the same each iteration, however, it's based on what's current and trending in the area of childcare across our state. Our very own Director of Programs, Ms. Catrice Pruitt, has prepared this report, and with the team of our Development Communications, Morgan Emmeheiser and Morgan Garrett, yes, we have our own Morgan and Morgan here. They have prepared the digital version of today's report, which is available in the chat if you want to take a look at that. This is our exclusive launch of the report. So you are the first audience to get access to this stunning report that it really draws a lot of insights and attention to our very important work in giving children the best start in life. So I'll ask Catrice now to talk a little bit about the report and give you some overview, and you'll be seeing the report segments on the screen direct from our website.
Thank you, Joan. Thank you again for taking time out of your schedule to attend the release of the 2023 Status of Child Care Report. Again, my name is Catrice Pruitt. I'm the Director of Programs here at Childcare Resources, which involves the managerial and leadership support of the core areas of our programs and services, including training and technical assistance, our supplemental child care program, and resource and referral. Before I offer some background knowledge to the report, I just want to give a few shout outs if I can, if you allow me this time. First, to our Executive Director, Joan Wright, for always giving me a space to learn, grow, develop, and share my knowledge and lived experiences in the ECE landscape by including me in the work of this agency and several committees that are represented today. My family, especially my mom, who is going through early stages of dementia, but always remembers that her youngest child or daughter is in school for a PhD. My CCR colleagues who are in the trenches doing the work to make quality child care happen through the services and programs we offer, and those behind the scenes taking care of the details that allow us to do this work. My spiritual leader, pastor, mentor, and father figure, Dr. MBC Church family. My professor, advisor, mentor, and friend, Dr. Kelly Hill, who is on today, and other UAB professors who have greater expectations of me than I have for myself because they know I have more to offer than what I'm trying to give. And to our board and junior board members that are present, colleagues in the field, community partners, committee members, my lead early cohort and friends, and my student interns, thank you for your involvement and support of the agency, our work, and challenging me to be more cognizant of my strengths and stretch beyond my comfort zones. Lastly, but certainly not least, a huge shout out to Morgan Emmeheiser and Morgan Garrett. They have been back and forth with me on this journey to make this final report appealing to the eyes of the readers and ready to launch today. So, the 2023 Status of Child Care Report emerged from my studies at UAB and various discussions in committee meetings that seek engagement and involvement in a child's growth and development, not only from the people closest to them, but also from the community at large. So, this report is framed around developmental psychologist Yuri Brumpenbrenner and his ecological theory system. Brumpenbrenner's theory explains 5 different levels of environmental influences that can affect a child's development, beginning with the people and institutions immediately connected to the child in the microsystem, to the influences of time regarding specific events or cultural changes over time in the chronosystem that are not directly connected to the child but are impactful. Think about parents, families, child care programs, school, work, culture, attitudes and ideologies, media, politics, church, and industries such as healthcare. These are the groups and institutions that are connected, interconnected, and overarching influences that significantly shape the development of a child. So I have a trivia question, and you can type your answer in the chat. Can you name the program that exists today in which Yuri Bronfenbrenner was appointed to the federal panel that helped in its creation? Here's a hint. It launched in 1965 and was originally conceived as a catch-up summer school program for low-income children to prepare them for elementary school. So this is a good example of school readiness. If you know the answer, type it in the chat, and I'll give you a couple of seconds to do that. We need the Jeopardy tune going. That's correct. Dr. Hill, Head Start, yes. Office of Head Start, yes, that's correct. This report offers more detailed insight into the 5 ecological systems and how these systems correlate to a child's development, what the child needs, and how each of us can be more engaged and involved. This report shares information about childcare in Alabama, the childcare cliff we are facing as the Childcare Workforce Stabilization Grant have come to a close, how Alabama Quality Stars is another available incentive that strengthens and supports other trending topics in this report, such as teacher retention, access and affordability of quality care and education, and pathways to advance the knowledge, skills, and best practices of those who nurture, care for, and teach our youngest learners. We are the village, we are the system, one body with many parts, using our gifts and talents to do a great work for those who need it most. And we should do it with grace, humility, a kind heart, a loving spirit, and an open mind, esteeming others above ourselves. I hope you enjoyed the discussion with our panelists and reading the 2023 Status of Childcare Report. Thank you again, and now back to you, Joan.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Catrice, for that wonderful introduction of this great work. We would like to ask for just a quick moment before we proceed, if we could invite you to turn on your camera just briefly, and we'd like to get a screenshot of our audience today. So we'll give you just a moment. For those of you that are comfortable, please turn on your camera so we can see your lovely face. I see many of you. Great. And we'll get a quick screenshot here in just a moment. We're so glad to have such a diverse audience here today, representing so many partners in this work, and we're glad to have you here. So Morgan, just let me know when you're ready for the screenshot, and we'll give a 1, 2, 3 and a smile.
Not sure which Morgan you mean. Probably me.
Whoever's going to take the picture.
All right, ready, everyone? 1, 2, 3, go ahead and smile. Perfect. Thanks, everybody.
Great. Thank you. So for the benefit of everyone on today's meeting, we do ask, if you're not a panelist, do please close your camera and mute your mic so we don't get distraction with any background noises or other interruptions. And I'm now going to introduce our moderator for today. It is Miss Sarah Verser. She is an anchor reporter with WBRC Fox 6 News, and a particular area of interest is education. So it's very appropriate that we would have her on today to be with us to facilitate this discussion about our report. She is going to ask our panelists to introduce themselves. We hope you enjoy today's presentation and dialogue. If you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and we will have some time at the end to address them. Sarah, thank you, and go ahead.
Well, good morning, everyone. It is my big delight to be here to help moderate this important subject, the Status of Childcare 2023 report. I think most of us think that childcare is something that is fundamental, that everyone has access to quality childcare, and you're about to find out that that is not the case, sadly, in our communities. And hopefully you will be enlightened, charged up to make some differences and make some changes based on what you learn here today. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our panelists. And I want to give them a quick question so that they can all think about it as they're introducing themselves. Delene Hicks is director of James Rushton Early Learning Center. Tanya Thompson Wilson is director of New Beginnings Christian Ministry Child Development Center. And Lakeisha Petty is the director, owner of Pamper Me Nursing. So I want to welcome you guys, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to say a little bit about yourselves. But I also want you to think about this question as you're finishing up your introduction. Describe the challenges you see in childcare right now. Ladies, take it away. We'll start with you, Delene. If you could unmute your microphone so we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, wanted to block the train. I'm Delene Hicks, and I get to work with children and families at James Rushton Early Learning Center, and we're part of Woodlawn United, a purpose-built community, and I'm really proud to say that. And I've been around, they told me I could say this, for over 40 years. I've worked with Birmingham City Schools, for about 19 years for the University of Alabama at Birmingham Civitan International Research Center. I've worked at Lawson State as their early childhood program coordinator. I've worked for Head Start for a while. I've worked at the YWCA, and now I'm serving children and families and teachers here at James Rushton. And I'm going to let our other people introduce themselves as I think about that question.
Good morning. My name is Lakeisha Petty. I am the executive director here at Pamper Me Nursery Child Development Center. We are located in the Southeast Lake area of Birmingham. I've had the pleasure of serving beside Ms. Delene Hicks and others in the early childhood education community. Ms. Delene was one of my professors as I went through school and finished and obtained my degree from UAB. So I'm excited to be a part of the call today as well.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Tanya Wilson. I am the owner and director of New Beginning Child Development Center over in the South Roebuck area, South Roebuck Springs. I have been in childcare over 25 years and have met and worked alongside of some great people. And what best to do is to work with children. I love picking their little brains and exploring what they can do for us. And believe it or not, they are our next generation of kids. So we have to instill in them what needs to be instilled. I'm just glad to be on today.
All right, ladies, you've had a chance to think about this question. So what are the changes that you are seeing in childcare right now?
So I'm going to jump in there since I've had the longest. We've certainly enjoyed the funding that we've been able to get through the workforce development and that funding, and we thank DHR for making that available for us. And I want to kind of talk just a little bit that it's been described nationally as that there's a childcare cliff. I want to kind of really talk about that. That might be a misnomer, that this issue of not having appropriate funding for childcare, I see it as being played out over time, more like a quicksand, that as this funding is cut back, that we will see hours shortened. We will see classes closed. We will see teachers leave the field because they need to be able to provide for their families. And although they have that passion, that rising costs are just really hard. So I don't see it as being just this sudden drop off as a cliff. I see it as this quicksand that it's going to catch us and catch us and catch us. And then we've got families that are having to make decisions that, as our program this year, as that funding was cut, and it's going away, we've had to raise our rates just a little bit, to be able to see if we can't keep that quality staff. That when we were receiving those funds, we got to staff up. We were able to meet those high quality, low teacher child ratios in classrooms. We were able to expand our hours to better meet the needs of working families. And we see that what's happening. We've had a couple of staff that have said, I need to go somewhere else, though, that, that CCWSG, the Child Care Workforce Development Grant money, is going away. I need to find a way that I can make more money per hour. And I don't want to keep talking. I'm just really full and very passionate about this. And I've got a couple of partners that have lots to say about what we see happening in early childhood right now. But y'all jump in.
I'm going to piggyback off of you, Delenn, and say that it has been a spiraling effect for not only our child care center, but child care centers around. And if you just go back and you just think about who has the first opportunity to make a great impression on our little kids' minds, we know that their first teachers are their parents, but not having childcare around for our children can be a spiraling effect on our reading readiness programs when they get into school. We, as early childhood educators, we have the opportunity to educate their little minds before they enter K-12. So we are just as important as K-12 is, in the fact that we have the opportunity to be able to get them ready. And without early childhood education, I don't foresee our kids being ready for school day one when it's time for them to enter into kindergarten. So again, without our child care centers, our partners, and the contributions that we get, to be able to continue to pay our staff, we've encouraged them to stay. But again, just like Delenn said, I've had employees that have said, it's just not enough. I need more. I need the benefits. I need this and I need that. And at the end of the day, we all have to think about our own families. So this has been the stabilization grant. It kept them motivated. It kept them excited. It kept them wanting to push. And we want to give our kids everything that they need. We're not just babysitters. We are educators. We are early childhood educators, and we are definitely needed around the state of Alabama.
Lakeisha? Can you unmute yourself,
Okay.
please?
Yes, thank you. I would echo again the same that Ms. Delenn just shared, as well as Miss Tanya. I know personally our center is already beginning to experience some of the things that have just been mentioned. We started out being able to serve infants as early as 8 weeks old, but due to not having quality staff, that availability of serving as early as 8 weeks old has now gone up to 12 months old. So we really are not able to service that infant bracket. And so it's made a huge impact with parents that, really need. I have a few moms now who are expecting mothers, and I can't guarantee them that we will have that infant classroom up and running again without being able to find quality infant teachers to lead that classroom. So that's just, one of the impacts. The other that has just been mentioned also is when we originally opened, and we opened our center here in April of 2019. So just maybe a year before the pandemic hit. So we've definitely experienced, having a classroom closed. Our hours of operations as well have changed. We originally opened from 6:30 a.m. until 6 p.m. So now there's a modification in hours where we now open at 7 a.m. and we close at 5 p.m. And again, that's due to staffing shortages. And so we have, unfortunately, have not really been able to do that full service that we know our families sometimes, need that window of 6:30 a.m. Until 6 p.m. So that they can, also work and do the things that they need to do and have accessibility to quality childcare. So certainly all of those things, the funding, is will help us to be able to not only staff appropriately, but also be more available to the children and families that we serve.
So the impact of all of this is on that family. We're just now getting to the place where we're seeing women come back to the workforce. But as you said, if you cannot take care of their children, they're not going to go to work and leave their kids at home. So we're seeing this really impacting not just families then, but it's impacting the community. It's impacting our services for the whole community. So that's why childcare is not just a women's problem. It's not just a family's problem. It is a community problem. And we have to figure out a way to solve this as a community. Let's talk about specifically how much money were you able to supplement workers with this stabilization fund money?
So the stabilization grants were crafted so that it was flow through money to the program, and then it went directly to the teachers. So full-time teachers got $3,000 every quarter, and part-time teachers got $1,500 a quarter. That's a lot of money, but you're also looking at very low wage earners, and what that meant for them is that they were able to pay down some debts. They were able to save some money so that they could get into some housing themselves, that they could save to get first month and deposits for them to be able to go, for them to be able to get a affordable, reliable transportation to get to work. But part of that package also, the programs themselves, we had to bear some of the cost of being able to pay the staff as well, that we had to pay all of the program taxes that were associated with that. So programs that took advantage of that had to have some money to be able to support that as well.
So to my panel, can you please just talk about, you talked about families. I know, Lakeisha, you went into it pretty extensively of how it impacted your childcare and how it impacted your ability to serve families. I'm wondering if the others can share a little bit more about how it's impacted. Tanya, how has it impacted your ability to serve families? Have you also had to cut classes?
I've had to cut classes as well as cut hours back. Our hours are from 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. as well. And that gives our staff an opportunity to be here and not, we couldn't go into overtime or anything like that. We have classroom space that we can't even utilize right now because we don't have the teaching staff to utilize it, because we have to make sure that we stay within our ratios for not only DHR, but Head Start as well. So we can't have kids that are unattended or attended just by one staff member in the classroom. So it has affected us a great deal in that we've had a couple of people to leave since the stabilization grant ended. And we had a couple of people come, but they're not staying because they need that money. And we are competing against McDonald's. We are competing against Chick-fil-A. We are competing against all of these places out here that are starting them off at $14 and $15 an hour to work in childcare. It's just not there to do it because we don't have the extra funds to be able to pay that and to get quality teachers and quality staff. We have to be able to offer them something.
We just heard Catrice Pruitt talk about the importance of quality childcare, those development years between 0 and 3 years old. And then you just said that you're competing against McDonald's for workers.
Yes, amen.
See, there's a disconnect here. We entrust childcare workers with our most precious babies and their development, right? To
Yes.
get them ready for school, and you're competing with McDonald's for workers. How do we fix this?
We need money. That is the key. We need money. We need what K through 12 get. We need to be able to offer our employees great benefits. We need to be able to offer them PTO time. We need to be able to offer them vacations and not have to worry about. We need to be able to offer our parents a good quality education for their kids, and they don't have to worry about when they drop their kids off. Are my kids just sitting watching TV all day long, or are they learning something all day long? And here at New Beginning Child Development Center, we don't watch TV, we don't babysit, we teach. And we want our parents to know and understand that that's the quality of education that we give our kids. And we try to find quality people, quality educators that will come in and be able to teach. Used to be you used to have a passion for kids. You have to have that passion as well as the love that we have to give the kids, as well as education. And their minds from 0 to 3 are so impeccable that we get an opportunity to impart in them what they will carry with them all the way, not only through high school, but through college and in their careers. We're raising up doctors, lawyers, news anchors, educators. We're raising all those kids up right now, and we need the help in able to do that.
We know, I could too. We know that the majority of the brain, 85%, is developed in that birth to 3 years old. So we make a difference, not just for now, but forever. And helping legislators know that this is their problem, helping business people know that this is their problem too, that it's not just a family problem. And I think Catrice has done a great job of framing this, is that it's all our responsibilities to pay attention to this.
And Sarah, at the end of the day, we have to think about who this is going to impact. This is not only going to impact the centers, but it's going to impact our families, and it's going to impact our children, because what's going to happen in the end is parents are going to go back to leaving kids at home with grandparents, or leaving kids at home to watch TV all day long, or just trying to find a babysitter when they can actually have their kids in school being educated day to day, Monday through Friday.
Ms. Petty, you've been kind of quiet. Do you want to add anything onto this?
What really stood out for me, and what continues to stand out for me, is the low hourly wages. I think what we really have to consider is that side that a lot of people, unless you are you know, and on the business side of it, and know exactly how much goes into running a quality program, with really about 80%, 80 to 85% of that being your salary, quite frankly, and being able, as Ms. Delenn said, also make sure that you have the ability to pay the payroll taxes that come around. And so with that, that low hourly wage, and you're also wanting your teachers to be able to be educated, and, teachers who are not only educated, but have that passion. And as you brought out, Sarah, we don't want to be able to even have our employees in the same, category as thinking, I love childcare, I'm educated, I want to go and get the education, but quite frankly, I could go somewhere and be a sales associate or be a cashier and make at least double, what we're able to offer somebody who's qualified to come in and work with children every day. That was one of the things that, again, personally, that just made a huge difference for me. I always had a passion to serve children and families, but as a single mom, just quite frankly, I could not work in a childcare center, even though that's what I really wanted to do, until I got married, because now I had a 2-family income, and I could rely on my husband's income that allowed me to be able to go into the childcare industry. And we're talking, that was back in maybe 2006. And the starting wage, even at that time, I sat across from a director, was $7.15 an hour. And my heart just sunk, because I was leaving corporate America, where I was, quite frankly, almost making double that. But it was the passion, well, now things have changed so much. And no matter how passionate I may be about something, at the end of the day, the bottom line is going to be, can I provide for my family? And so we want to make sure that we are bringing in teachers that we can confidently allow them to also not serve others' children and families, but also be able to serve their children and their families as well.
So a number of you, or I know that Tanya, you talked about having a deficit in workers because of the ending of the Child Care Workforce Stabilization grant money. So you're looking for more people to help, or are the people who are answering not up to par? And then talk about training and what goes into that. Where do we go from here?
Well, we have people that are coming in for interviews, and I'm telling you, it impacts us so bad that when we say, okay, you don't have experience, we're willing to train you, we're willing to do this, but we're going to have to start you off at this. And they say, oh no, McDonald's pays more than that. Chick-fil-A pays more. Chick-fil-A starts off at $12 an hour. So they just leave. So we are really in competition with other people. They want to do the work, but they don't want the training for the work. It's not like McDonald's, it's not fast food. We're talking children that we are over, children that we have to take care of every day. And we are our children's protectors. So we have to have staff that is able to pass background checks, that are able to pass CANs, which is a child abuse and neglect. Though that is a process that takes place, and they also have to have training. They want to do the work, but they don't want to do the training. They just want to sit. And I tell people all the time, we're not babysitters, we're educators. We are not babysitters, we are educators. We are here to educate our kids.
My mouth is just gaping open over this whole thing, because it's hard enough for families to have to worry about who is taking care of your children. So and hopefully I hope to do more on this story on our newscast later today to talk about what I consider a crisis um, in terms of childcare in our state. I know we have the Literacy Act, which is demanding that children read at grade level by third grade, but if you don't have a good start, the children are already behind. And you're telling me that if you don't have quality healthcare workers, quality childcare workers, that likability is just not there for them to be ready for kindergarten. So what are you doing to combat this? And afterwards, I'm going to ask you, what do you want parents or viewers to do that can make a difference? I know you're having to raise rates and that sort of thing, but talk about how you're combating the problem right now.
One way that I am combating the problem, and I try to encourage people that come in and interview with us, that I do in-house training. I'm a hands-on kind of person. I tell them all the time that I'm educated, I'm CDA certified, and I have education in early childhood education. So, and I teach CDA classes. So I'm willing to give you all the tools that you need. I just need you to bear with me and get what you need to be able to go into a classroom successfully, which our classrooms are all inclusive classrooms. So, which means that we don't discriminate against the kids that are in our classroom. We have kids that have behavior issues. We have kids that have ADHD. We have kids that have Down syndrome or developmental delays. So we as educators, we have to teach you how to go in and spend the time that needs to be spent with these kids. Some of them need one-on-one. Some of them need group activities. And without the help of funds to come into the child care centers, we're not able to do that. Our classrooms, yes, they are all inclusive, but if we have a kid that has special needs, that means we have to have more staff in that classroom. So if we have 2 people in the classroom plus a special needs kid, that means we need 3 people in the classroom.
Right. One of the things that we're so grateful for that we're able to do is finding organizations to partner with. And so one of the organizations that we currently partner with is Alabama First Class Pre-K, that offers that free and quality childcare to all 4-year-olds within the state of Alabama. So, and that partnership allows us to be able to pay both of those teachers in that classroom, both our lead and our auxiliary teachers, a livable wage, and also helps to alleviate some of that financial responsibility for us as a center as well. So it allows us to pay that quality wage, and it also allows us to, provide care to those families. But again, that's just one age group. That's that 4-year-old age group. But it is one of the ways that our center has found, that has helped us be able to combat, I guess, a little bit of what's going on right now in childcare.
And I'll echo what Lakeisha's done is we've worked really hard to find funding through grants, through partners. We partner as well with the Department of Early Childhood Education. For pre-K classrooms, we partner with Childcare Resources, which helps give us some funding. We also partner with Talladega Clay, Randolph County for early Head Start funding. We partner with the TEACH program, which gives us funding to help teachers go to school. We're always on the lookout. So, I'm looking at my director friends here that we're the ones that are spending those late nights writing those grants and requesting those funds so we can do some kind of support to our teachers. I think the Department of Early Childhood Education has shown us that a model can work for educating 4-year-olds. And I know this is a huge call out to them, but they figured out how to make it work for childcare programs, not just for public schools, but for churches, and in a variety of service delivery areas. And I think we could echo that with beginning to look at how do we serve 2 and 3-year-olds? What does that look like, and how can we support programs? And I'm also going to give them a challenge without being without having too much associated paperwork to make that happen. But I think it's looking at how much money really is coming into the state to support early care and education. How can we leverage all those funds and pool those and put them with one agency that's going to be able to get it appropriated to a variety of types of child care that parents choose, that really will make an impact and support our families.
The ramifications, the benefits of pre-K, have been studied and documented for years. We know that children who attend pre-K are more likely to stay in school, go on to college, earn higher wages. They're more likely to avoid prison and the judicial system. So the benefits to not just families, but our communities and our society are endless. And then we were seeing more research that says that we need to start intervening with children at an earlier and earlier age. So your conversation with Early Childhood and Development Department is an important one. And we need, as parents and people in the community, need to reach out to our lawmakers and really make that point that while we're funding and have excess in funding in the Education Trust Fund, perhaps we can extend more to that early childhood development. The state has recognized with the pre-K program that it is working. It is a model for the country, but still it's not fully funded. It's still not fully funded. So these are conversations that we need to have to our lawmakers who represent us. We put them in office, remind them that we can take them out. We need to make this a priority so that people understand that this is something that is important to us. Anybody want to lean in on that?
I think there are so many demands of our legislators and so many people that pull on them, and we don't have lobbyists. I've been to Montgomery with other people who lobbied for maintaining our minimum standards, just the basic minimums, that we need to keep those for quality programming to keep children safe. And rode down in an elevator with somebody who was a lobbyist and was very well paid. And it was obvious in the committee meeting that we were in that person was able to sway the constituents, the legislators, toward their point of view. We're not afforded that luxury of having somebody that's always in their face saying, do this, that we are very limited in our access to our legislators, and how our voice gets heard is punctuated throughout the year with special events, but it's just not always that you need to pay attention to this, you need to pay attention to this. And we need to help our business people understand that if they don't have a quality workforce, that they can't succeed in their business with their bottom line, with their shareholders, and with their owners, that we're the thing that props up our economic system. It's the early care and education community that supports the rest of the workforce.
Well, as you can see, I'm pretty passionate about that. And so if I leaned in a little hard, I apologize there. But I think this is the point, and Joan, correct me if I'm wrong, where people who are signed on can ask questions if they'd like.
Yes, definitely. I want to thank again your leadership on this discussion. Sarah and our panelists, Tanya, Delynn, and Lakeisha, have, I think, really shed a lot of insight onto their day-to-day challenges. I mean, this is their real world, what you're hearing today, what they're sharing with you. And in the context of our status of childcare report, that ecological framework, that if we can do things that help promote, encourage, nurture the benefits of that ecological framework, we can achieve what we intend with quality early education. And so at this time, if you do have a question, we invite you to submit it in the chat. Or you can certainly come off mute, raise your hand, come off mute and ask your question. I'd also like to challenge you, as Sarah has challenged us all today, what about today's comments? Some of you may not have had time to thoroughly read the report, but it will be on our website, it is now on our website, and you can access it. There's a downloadable version you can access as well. What do you want to do with what you've heard today? If you don't have a question, what's an action item that maybe you're taking away from this discussion? We'll open that up now for comments or questions. We have a very diverse audience today of participants that include funding partners, include community partners, include families who have benefited from childcare themselves. And we have, of course, staff that are on this call. So again, I think today's discussion to me has reiterated the value of quality early education, that sessions like today and people like Sarah Verser need to continue to keep this in the forefront of our communities through the media, through other opportunities, to make sure that this is a top of mind issue. Again, you heard each of our panelists share their own personal experiences with families who are directly affected by what you're hearing today. Children certainly are most profoundly affected because we miss out on this opportunity. Early childhood only happens in those ages 0 to 5. That's it. And just like constructing a building, if the foundation isn't a solid, steady, sturdy foundation, the building is eventually going to have problems. You're going to have to call some of those crack fillers that fix the cracks and adjust your building. We don't want that for our children. We don't want them to have reinforcements later or troubles later because they didn't get that strong foundation. So again, we'll pause another moment. If you have a question or comment, we invite you to share that. We have a couple of questions here from Kanan that are in the chat. I'll just read those quickly. How do you become a lobbyist? That is a process. I don't know all the details about it, but there is a specific process to go through to become a lobbyist. You have to register as a lobbyist. I'm not sure exactly what the qualifications are, but perhaps I can put you in touch with someone afterwards to give you some more insight on that. The other question is, do any of the panelists offer mentoring programs for individuals who are interested in learning more about childcare? That's a great question. Certainly, our panelists have mentioned that they do a lot to support not only their own staff, but they're very involved in the community of early learning here in Central Alabama and beyond. So I'll leave that to any of you that want to respond to that question about mentorship.
I guess it all depends on time and what's going on that and what their request is. We have teachers, student teachers. We have people doing practicum things that come into our program to do that. We work with other directors. We kind of co-mentor each other. So there have been lots of times when I pick up the phone and I call some of my director partners and I go, hey, what do you think about this? And we shoot emails back and forth. This is going on. What do we do about this? So there's that backdoor informal network that we take advantage of. And certainly we are proponents of the early care and education field, and we believe that we should propagate that field with people that are interested, and we certainly invite them to talk to us about what kind of needs and interests they have.
Definitely, and we're always available to be a help to any child care center, because we have great support. We have great support through Joan and everybody at Childcare Resources. We have great support through Lady Franklin and the Success by Six program. It's an early reading readiness program. So there's places out there that we collaborate with in order to keep our peace, and in order to, it keeps us pushing, it keeps us encouraged, and we are glad to share any information that you may need if you are center directors or looking to do it. We are here, and we are definitely building the bandwagon for early educators, because again, at the end of the day, we are still educators. We're not babysitters.
And I would just like to add to that, that Childcare Resources has a directors network, and so they discuss various topics around early care and education. And so that's available for directors to join. It's in our Quality Times, which is our booklet that describes all of the training sessions that we offer here at the agency, whether it's in person, virtual, on demand, or again through a network or specialty project. So I just want to share that.
It just occurred to me there's one aspect that we just haven't talked about, and that is that whole ecological framework you had spoken of earlier. And how do you encourage employers and other people to get involved in making a difference in terms of helping bear some of the load for quality childcare? Anyone?
I think, you've heard some of them talk about how they reach out to the community. They reach out to different grants and funding partners, resource partners like Childcare Resources, of course. So that's one way. Again, employers, I think that employers can, again, become more involved and aware of the need to support early care and education, not only for their own workforce, but for the community, because again, our communities are more vibrant, more livable, safer, more productive when we have quality early education. And that's proven over and over again in multiple communities across this great country. And so again, employers can think about what can they do to offer childcare tuition assistance through their company. What can they do to offer flexible work schedules? You heard at least two of our panelists I know said they have had to change their work hours because of the staffing challenges, where they're now operating 7 to 5 instead of 6 to 6 or 6:30 to 6. And that is affecting workers' availability to get to and from work on time. So what can employers do to acknowledge that and provide some flexible work schedules for their employees?
All right, Joan, it's back in your hands unless there's any more, if there are any more questions.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sarah. And again, thank you to our panelists. Let's all give them either a virtual or an on-screen applause. That's right. Show those clapping hands. Show them some love. Oh, we have a question from Amy Bradley, or I think that's a question. I'm not sure if it's a question or she's raising her hand or she's clapping. Amy, did you have something to add or ask?
No, Joan.
Okay.
Thank you.
She was, I'm sure, giving a high five. Maybe that was her high five for our great panelists. And again, thank you, audience, for making time to join us today. Please do visit our website, ccr-bhm.org, for full access to this report. It is interactive online. There's also a downloadable version if you would like to do that. Again, we hope you have a wonderful day. Stay tuned for more on this topic. And again, Sarah, thank you so much for your gracious hosting today. And we look forward to hearing more about this on WBRC Fox 6 News.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
You are so very welcome, and thank you for being willing to share this with the entire community. It's important work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Enjoy your day. Care for those little ones.
Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.